For today's reading, I'm going to be reading an excerpt of the upcoming ISIS series story, ISIS Imitation of Life. And this ISIS series story is a fantasy flashback story. That means it's a story set in the past, and it's a story that was set in 1937 during the golden age of superheroes and pulp fiction. And in this story, Isis helps a young pledge of her Theta sorority actualize her potential while dealing with Jim Crow. This is a story that is meant to show people that there were black heroes during the golden age of superheroes and pulp fiction, and the way we approached being a hero was completely different due to racism and Jim Crow. I'm hoping you enjoy this little excerpt, and I'm hoping you pick up the book when it's released in the future. July 1937. Alma and I shuffled out of the lobby of the Carlsbad Theater with disappointed looks on our faces. I could think of a better way to spend a Friday evening. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. My best friend gives me an I told you so look as we push past the tall, ornate doors of the theater and step out into the balmy air swirling around Oneonta County's Main Street. She warned me about Imitation of Life, but me, being the open-minded intellectual, I had to see it for myself so I could form my own opinion. I told you weren't going to like it, Alma says. Yeah, but I had to see it for myself. I'm sorry I wasted my time with that crap. I'm sorry I wasted my money. I can think of a better way to spend 10 cents. Yeah, we could always watch one of those westerns where your people wind up being portrayed as a savage. Alma grimaces on the job, but I know how she feels. In between the coons, minstrels, and blackface and Indian squaws, we colored people don't have many options for seeing ourselves at the movies these days. I thought this movie was going to make a real statement about Negro people, but I should have known better than to trust anything that comes from Hollywood. Next time we go to the movies, I'll let you pick the feature, Almy. Let me draw my sorrows in a root beer float at Chester's, and we'll call it even, Andy. We marched a few stores down Main Street towards Chester's drugstore. As we pushed past the tall wood and glass door, the bell rings on it, alerting Chester to our presence. When the short, stocky, chocolate-colored man dressed in a white shirt, apron, and bow tie looks across the counter, he greets us with a friendly smile. Afternoon, Miss Andy, Miss Alma, Chester greets. Y'all awful dressed up for a Friday afternoon. Something going on in town? Nah, we have to pick up Doc and a pledge from the bus station in an hour, Alma replies. That new girl from Charleston? I hear she's a real smart one. Got herself a master's degree and everything. I'm hoping she can behave herself better than the last group of pledges we brought up here last month. That bunch of girls seemed to lose their mind when they got off the bus. Once they got up here, all they wanted to do was go to the dance hall, shoot crap, and flirt with the boys in town. I had to send all but one of them home Monday morning. Yeah, I'm hoping she'll be a real asset to the Thetas. That's if she can survive pledging us, Alma says. It's a miracle one of those girls doesn't wind up running out of my house in a straitjacket with all the crazy stuff we put them through. A Theta challenge is nothing compared to what the rednecks put them through when they get back home. At least they can have a laugh after going through a Theta challenge, Alma. I can't say that for any encounter you have with someone outside these city limits. Anything I can get for you ladies? Root beer float and a chocolate milkshake here from my best friend, Alma requests. Coming right up. While Chester digs under the counter for the ingredients to prepare our beverages, we stroll over to the magazine rack to peruse the titles. Hey Chester, the new Doc Savage coming yet? Came on the rack yesterday. This one's got Pet Savage in it. I light up on hearing my favorite heroine will be featured in one of this month's Doc Savage adventures. I quickly find the magazine on the rack and eagerly take it off the shelf. As I flip through it, Alma shakes her head. I don't know what you see in Doc Savage, Andy. All those muscles and that steely resolve. He's the handsomest Negro I've ever read about. Alma gives me a quiz look as she examines the cover. Negro? How is Doc Savage a Negro? I peer down at the copper-haired, bronze-skinned He-Man in his tattered white shirt on the cover and smile. Why do you think they call him the Man of Bronze? He sure doesn't look like a Negro on the cover with that slick back hair. But the way most of these Negro men fry their hair with conch, you never know. My skin color's just a darker shade than Doc Savage, Almy. And if I'm considered a Negro, then he's got to be a Negro. Yeah, you're a Negro by the way of ancient Egypt, Cleopatra. I may come from Nubia, but my skin's still dark enough to be considered a Negro in this part of the world. White folks always put stuff between the lines regarding us colored folks, Almy. They don't want to admit good things about us, but they try to be covert about paying us a compliment. Sometimes I wish they wouldn't be so overt sometimes, Alma says, taking one of the dime store paperbacks off the rack next to the pulp mags. Forbidden Squaw? This one's probably about a young Cherokee who falls in love with a white man and has to make a choice between her people and her heart. I jab, taking the pulp novel from her. Aren't they all about that? Alma laughs, taking it back. I swear these white people see us Indian women as a hot piece of redskin ass. But you Iroquois are far more sophisticated than that. I'd kick a white man in his crackerjacks if he ever touched me. This from the proud chieftain's daughter married to the town's most prominent Negro citizen. My buffalo man can have his way with me any time, Alma says as she puts her hand to her head and pretends to fawn. You think Forbidden Squaw was bad. Where do you get a load of this one? I say, taking a paperback off the rack. Mark of the Beast. We grimace, looking at the cover featuring a tall, muscular black man standing under the spotlight of a streetlight, looking lecherously at a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman fell to the pavement of a city street. How about this one, Alma says, taking another book off the rack. Half-Breed, the tragic tale of a mulatto woman. I roll my eyes, seeing the light, bright, nearly white woman on the cover, sitting next to a bed with a worried look on her face as she anxiously looks over at the white lover standing in the doorway. The only thing worse than the fiction is the non-fiction these days, I snarl, picking up a copy of the Amsterdam News on a display of Negro newspapers adjacent from the magazines. My stomach turns reading the headline about the lynching of another black boy by the Klan down in Georgia. Is it always going to be this bad? I wish I could give you an answer, Princess. Sometimes I'm wondering if I'm really making a difference around here with crap like this still going around. Elmo puts a hand on my shoulder. Hey, you do what you can, Andy. Even someone like you can only do but so much. I wish I could do more, but the elders insisted I not get directly involved with the political affairs of the Negro when I return to America. I guess I can't do everything. Before I can finish my statement, Chester lets us know our beverages are ready. One root beer float and one chocolate milkshake for the two sophisticated Theta ladies. We head over to the ice cream counter, take seats on the stools in front of it, and prepare to enjoy our beverages. I guess we're going to have to wait for God to change things regarding us colored people, Alma says. I guess so. Until then, I'll be reading Doc Savage. I'm hoping to have Isis' Imitation of Life soon. Unfortunately, it's one of the books that has been delayed because I just haven't had the financial resources to pay an artist to design the cover. And if you could donate $1 or more to my PayPal or my Patreon, it would be greatly appreciated and it would help me get this book to the marketplace sooner rather than later.